we're, 68 days away from the New Hampshire primary. It's game time.
It certainly is. And for all of those who have disputed and dismissed Governor Chris Christie of the fine state of New Jersey, have no doubt that he is one incredible Energizer bunny. He's already secured the endorsement of 100 top Republican officials, some Democrats, by the way, in the state of New Hampshire. But the big enchilada was winning the Manchester Union Leader's endorsement a little earlier than is traditionally the case. Now, that does not automatically mean you go on to win the state's primary. Just ask Newt Gingrich. It didn't really help. But it did 4 years earlier with one John McCain. So it probably helps more than it hurts. With us now, Larry Sabato, the University of Virginia Center for Politics. You're not quite such a believer here that the Union Leader endorsement isn't what it was, or that Chris Christie can't get much further than that.
I think you're right in suggesting that I'm skeptical. Look, it's a plus, obviously, for Christie, but he's put all of his chips on that one state. That is a dangerous thing to do. You remember Rudy Giuliani, putting all his chips on Florida? It usually doesn't work out.
Yeah, but isn't it better to put
unlike Giuliani, you win the state?
Put your chips on New Hampshire rather than Florida, if we learned anything, right?
Well, sure. I mean, it's better if you win New Hampshire, you at least are going to get a lot of great headlines. But where do you take it from there? Where does Chris Christie win after New Hampshire? South Carolina? I doubt it. The SEC primary on March 1st in the Deep South? I doubt it.
Well, there are a couple of northern states. There are a couple of northern states in that bunch.
Yeah, that's true. He could do well in the Northeast. He might do well in some of the industrial Midwest. But it's a very tough path to the nomination. Is it impossible? Of course it isn't. This is a crazy year with a crazy cast of characters.
But he might be benefiting, as the Union Leader itself said in its endorsement, from timing, right? I mean, as we look at security, as we look at tension, as we look at some of his other opponents, he appears to have the substance, at least according to the Union Leader and to 100 other backers, many Democrats in that state. You're quite right. That doesn't necessarily, mean victory. But I always think that when you look at things, Larry, there's something about his, obviously, work ethic and the fact that he's just the Energizer bunny, pops up anywhere and everywhere and is relentless about it. Does that pay off? Because it's very akin to John McCain's comeback in the same state where he was given up for dead and then resurrected himself. Could it happen?
It could happen. It's important to focus on a state like New Hampshire with that Energizer bunny approach. It works in Iowa, it works in New Hampshire, but then you get out, and it's very difficult, even in New Hampshire, because of the South Carolina rather because of the limited time that you have after New Hampshire. It's difficult even there, and then it becomes impossible when you're in an election where you've got 10 primaries on a particular day. But look, I'm not underestimating it. I just don't think that's the ball game the way it used to be.
But do you have to win it outright? I know you said he would have to win in that case, but I remember Bill Clinton in 1992 didn't win, but he was the comeback kid for doing better than he thought, and he was on his way.
Bill Clinton had an incredibly weak field of opponents. No one would call this Republican field weak when it comes to winning the GOP nomination. So they're two completely different circumstances, historically.
All right, well, that hurts my feelings that you shut down what I thought was a solid question.
You know I would never do that purposely.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's okay. I'll just sort of sniffle through the next commercial. But thank you, Professor, for your last appearance on this show.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Larry Sabato, the University of Virginia. He is a brainiac. All right, do any